Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, thankfully. I
That's
graduated. I had 5 weeks left of school, and it was crazy to think that on March 12th that was going to be the last time I physically saw like my professors and my
mhm.
classmates and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a trip. It was a trip.
All right. So I'm gonna hit record and then we are gonna get started with the interview. Okay. So, all right. So welcome to the Make It podcast. Today I am with Emerald McColey. I'm super excited to interview you about your like recent graduation and about your journey in school. So if you could please introduce yourself and then tell us what major you studied in college and why.
Hi everyone, my name is Emerald. I'm a graduate from Cal State Monterey Bay, and I majored in management and international business with a minor in music. I chose that major because I'm the first in my family to graduate in any higher education, and I was a former foster youth as well. So I figured really honing in on my just organizational skills and team abilities would kind of give me a broader scope to any industry that I would enter after graduation. So then I would also have more options to continue my education and focus on global entertainment in a master's program, or and also take on other interests. Like I'm also a scuba diver and have a big passion for the ocean.
That's awesome. Um,
Thanks.
so did you kind of have an idea of what you wanted to study? Like, did you always know you wanted to go into this, or how did you kind of like find out?
So my sophomore year, I was in a battle with myself, struggling with depression, but also like what I really wanted to focus on. I was originally a marine science major because, as I mentioned, I have a huge passion for the ocean. Um, but I just found myself struggling with life situations, circumstances, things that come up. And I figured that I needed something that would kind of draw out certain things that I could bring to the table, like no matter the table. So I was involved in the Guardian Scholars Program at my campus, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Guardian Scholars Program. Um, Across all the state universities, there's a program dedicated to supporting former foster youth and adopted and orphans. Uh, it's a broad identity, even homeless identity focused group, and the retention advisor brought to my attention. While I was talking about the things that were going on in my life, she was a huge support for me. And one statement that really stood out to me was, "You light up every time you talk about music." And it was true. Like every time I had spoke about music to someone, I had a million things to say, and I knew how music affected me throughout my life, and so I figured I love how music impacted me, so I wanted to figure out how I could impact music. Um, so that's when I decided to do a major in business and a minor in music, because I've been in performing music since for over 14 years and multiple instruments, and I knew that that's gonna be a part of my life. So how can I bring professionalism into it?
Wow, that's incredible. First of all, I love the Garden Scholars Program. We don't have that on my campus. I wish or I hope that like every university has that. I'm so glad that you like had that resource. Um, and that's awesome that you can play multiple instruments. What instruments or vocals like what do you like to do personally in music?
More in January, I picked up the guitar. for the like to teach myself, and I started singing too. And before that, though, I have like 14 years of playing flute and 8 years of playing bass guitar. And I was in a Latin jazz band on my campus, playing percussion instruments. And um, I'm going to start teaching privately soon as well.
That's awesome. That's super exciting. Uh, so, kind of looking back on your college experience, what are the things that you liked about your major and your experience? And then what are the things that you maybe didn't like?
I definitely did not love just the tedious work we had to do. They really made sure that we knew our grammar, even the most basic things, like, just tedious things like that, which really do help sharpen your reports for sure. I don't miss the 30-page reports, and the nervousness of presentations, like just really the little things. Overall, like I did love, being a reliable person in the classroom. I miss having the teamwork. Like I know everyone else hates it, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting to know different parts of people because everyone's just so different. And I guess maybe that has something that might be an attribute from having a foster youth background, because like I was having to get to know different people all the time. So I don't know, like I learned to enjoy it. And so when I was placed in a business setting, I have this tendency to be really silly or super serious. So like that was my dynamic in the groups. Like I knew when to get down, and I also knew when to like lay back and just have a good time, and make sure that to remind us that we're still human and we got to take care of ourselves. And I think that's what the business world is all about nowadays. And so it was great having to do research, get to know people, and build my community.
That's awesome. I'm glad that that's funny. I definitely agree with you about like the tedious stuff and the grammar. I feel that too when professors were like grading my papers or my like submissions and getting points off for grammar. I'd be like, come on, like I did it all right. Um,
Oh,
so I totally get that. And that's a cool perspective of, you had to get to know people all the time and you could either choose to, hate it, or you could be like, okay, like, let's give this a shot.
absolutely.
So, and then throughout your college experiences, what are some things that you either attended or some situations you went through that have shaped who you are today? And we can go before college as well.
Yeah, okay. Um, Before college is a great start, actually. I started really being an independent individual at the age of 16. Um, I was one of the lesser fortunate. Like I had to deal with a lot of things that normal, the other high school students didn't have to really deal with. So when I was at school, I that was my outlet, and I was highly involved in the music programs. Band, I did band, drumline, color guard, like you name it, I was there. Like just because like music was so just me. That's where I was. My mind is just so stimulated by the sense of safety and creativity all in a package, and then performing it, being able to be on a stage or in, in a crowd, knowing that no one knows me, but as long I just know that I practice on what I wanted them to see, and then keep building on myself. And that's what I loved the most about the programs and the people. And so and so school is my escape. In all reality, like school is my escape. I loved being at school. I loved being at band events. And um with that being said, like at home, like it was kind of like the opposite. It was a place where I wanted to avoid. And, you know, my mother had relapse. And so I was really out there doing everything on my own, kind of just survival mode early on, um, which has been a pattern throughout my life, actually. So, you know, once it came down to seeing all my friends applying to college, I I didn't have like that foundation of encouragement, that foundation of you can do that. That is an option for you. So I kind of had to find that inside myself, that worthiness. You know, I do deserve to go to college. I do deserve to have this education. Um, and so my best friend, she was in band and she was applying to colleges, and so I was just kind of observing her going to the college fairs that she was going to, and just doing my own exploring. And so I applied to 4 different universities, and anxiously waited until March and April, and was excited to see that I got accepted to all 4. And I chose Monterey Bay because it was it was really just the idea of living near the ocean. It was the living near the ocean, and also the marine science program at the time wasn't as impacted as San Francisco State University was. And the other 2 options were kind of not as enticing for the time being. So I thoroughly enjoy and treasure Monterey for what it helped me uh, accomplish and achieve as far as personally and professionally, and locally. I truly believe I became a local in Monterey. Artistically, as a musician, I became a part of the music scene. I started managing some musicians and contributing to the art scene in general, and just being there for poetry night and open mic and stuff like that. But to go back to your question, you know, things that I had to overcome. So that was the essence of having to do things on my own. That's pretty much what my narrative is throughout college. Not having that family support, going through a lot of adversity, struggling with a depression that I had been diagnosed with since 12. Um, and then figuring out, like, who is this person trying to emerge from me? What is this phoenix burning for, you know? Like, figuring out what is my fire for, and how do I make sure not only do I just shine, but am I burning the right parts and to grow into better parts, newer, better, you know? And so I had to make critical decisions, you know, as far as like being strategic with my finances, because, you know, I had to work a part-time job all the time. I had 3 jobs at one point. And so, you know, and then there's the balance of all that, you know, and then I got my identity stolen one time, and then my car broke down, and had to get rid of it, and you know, struggling with my own identity, like not knowing who I was. You know, I have a greater understanding of who I am now, um, but also overall accepting certain parts of me and letting go of things that have, you know, affected me from the past. That has made a huge difference. Like, you know, things that my parents, my foster parents, my grandparents, the things that have happened between us, like myself and them, I understand that holding on to those things really doesn't contribute to my growth. Like, how does a flower blossom if you keep putting rocks on top of it, you know? Like, and you're just letting those rocks sit there. So, you know, I cleaned up my garden and I made sure to water my plants, and I finally felt beautiful for the first time in a very long time. And it's been like that for the past 2 years, and I'm very grateful for having really gifted that to myself. We have to gift that part of life, that deservingness to ourselves, then flourish in what we think is good for us. And so a lot of those understandings I've had to really like dive into to be the person I am today. I'm so fortunate that I was able to really push through the last 5 weeks of COVID, school, Zoom university, and say that I was able to not just set a standard for my family. I don't like to be like, oh yeah, I set the bar for you guys, now catch up. It's like, no, it's like, no, this is I trailblazed so you can do the same thing in your own way. I have 8 younger siblings, so I try so hard to be a great not just a great role model, but a real role model, a real person. I'm a real person. I make mistakes and I accomplish things. Like, it's okay. We're continuously growing and learning, and that's all I wish to be as I continue my journey.
You just said so many great things. You are incredible. I love um I love that you talked about that you have to like gift that to yourself, because I think a lot of times we view it as like selfish, or hyping ourselves up is like frowned upon, and it's like, no, you need to like pat yourself on the back and tell yourself you love yourself, and like you said, water your garden. It's perfect analogy. um and I also really loved about not just being like a good role model but a real role model, because oftentimes I think so. I studied engineering, and everybody's always like, "Oh, women in STEM, women in STEM," but they always show you these like perfect women that checked all the boxes, and same with like influencers on social media. You see their highlight reel, but you don't see like the other stuff, and it's like, what kind of example does that tell other people, especially young people? It just shows them how perfect other people may be, but it doesn't show like all the critical decisions and all the things that they've had to go through, and the ups and the downs. So I think that's like a great way to be a role model.
Thanks.
hmm and so let's talk a little bit about kind of what you want to do now that you're a recent grad, and throughout all the experiences you've had before college and in college. um, how do you want to like use your major now and go out into the world?
So I started my own business for music management. Yeah, I call it Tree Star Music Management, and I pretty much just have such a broad um, service to offer to musicians. I go from writing artist biographies, setting up emails to send out to publishers, working on their marketing on social media, um, strategizing any well, can't do any touring right now, but I was helping with touring. Just brainstorming. Like, if they need help, just brainstorming ideas on how to really get their creativity translated into their art. So well, their creativity translated in an artistic way to their audience. That's what it is. um, and so I've been doing that since January, and I've worked with a few artists, Leche Malo in Monterey, and right now I'm working with Midnight Dorset. He's currently located in Hawaii, and also my grandmother. She's a folk singer in Angels Camp, California. So I just started kind of just doing my own thing. I do believe, because of my business skills and abilities and what I've grown and what I've seen, I'm just kind of trying to just mesh everything together to see how I could actually offer someone like the confidence, and just they could use my skills to enhance their experience as musicians, especially during COVID right now. Like, it's such a weird time, and and I kind of was just kind of stuck after I graduated. I used quotation marks after graduated, because I really wish I had that like finishing moment. Obviously walking across the stage would have made me feel like I finished a chapter. So since that didn't happen, I felt pretty stagnant in Monterey, and I was like, I need to go do something and be somewhere. I don't even know. I didn't have time to plan anything. I didn't have anything planned. I was like, I was working, to be honest, I was working at a dispensary. I was working at a dispensary and finishing all my college courses and still living on campus. So once that deadline came to be like, hey, you're done with school, you got to go. I was like, oh, yeah, where am I going? Because keep in mind, I don't have like the parents to kind of fall back on. And so I had to do some maneuvering all summer and just kind of I applied to over 100 jobs, and now I'm like, now I'm in a better place where I found my own room. I have 2 jobs, and I'm saving up to continue my academic journey. I want to apply to Berkeley and Valencia, Spain, for the Global Entertainment program. So I could have like a master's focusing on just global entertainment and how to apply that everywhere I go, because I did get an international business degree. So I'm hoping to actually be abroad at some point when COVID kind of clears up a bit better, you know. But other than that, I do want to start diving into my other interests as well, as far as like art history, because I am an artist myself. Like, I don't want that's the thing I thought about. I was like, I don't want to starve the artist inside myself to fulfill another artist's, you know, like like I don't want to just keep giving. I need to give to myself, and so I'm such a sponge for knowledge that I do believe going back into school will help me kind of get out of this this stagnant fog I've been in since graduation. And it's real. Like, I know I've heard stories like there's a graduate, like, I don't want to just call it a depression, but kind of like a mood swing you go through, you know, it's like, whoa, you know, and I just want to keep moving forward with my education and continue impacting musicians and artists all alike. Um, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's nuts that with COVID and then everything's like on fire, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you have to find a place to live. That's not easy in California for like, you get for like a cheaper price. Um, yeah, that's
Mhm.
rough. And
Yep.
then, okay, we need to get everybody out of the dorms, blah blah blah. But that sounds like a kick-ass path, like applying to those schools and going abroad. And it seems, I know, being in a rut is tough, but it seems like, you know,
Mhm.
you have like your next vision, and hopefully that helps like pull you through this like stagnant rut, and I guess depending on COVID as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, I'm located in North Lake Tahoe, and I would have never thought I'd live in Lake Tahoe. Um, you know, and I mean, I have 2 part-time jobs, but I'm a worker. I love working. I love earning, and I know that I'm saving. I'm doing real adult things, like I've opened a savings account, and and I'm really trying my best to just, you know, focus, you know, focus.
So, for my last question, what is a piece of advice that you would want to give maybe aspiring college students, like just graduating high school, or current college students that are still kind of trying to figure out what they want to do and what they want to study?
I would say listen to what the universe brings to you. I wouldn't have ever thought my advisor would say or would really acknowledge my passion by the simple phrase of "you light up when you talk about music." So it's just listen, just and listen to the people that care about you. You know, they don't say weird or dumb things like for no reason for the most part. Um, and I've always told myself as since a child, I don't know, these words came to me when I was young, and it was, don't put your 2 cents into nonsense. And I've listened to that my entire life. And it, you know, it's a nice check, you know. Other than that, don't hang on to negativity too much, because we all go through episodes of self-destruct, or you know, maybe some like shame about things from in our past. Have to recognize that shame, and then wherever it stemmed from. I like to say that, like water from the earth trickling down roots into the river, people will filter out naturally, like they were possibly meant to be. So, just keep refreshing yourself. Don't sit in that shame, don't sit in that guilt, that negativity. Use that as like kind of just pouring out of me. Let's just let it finish pouring out, and then find what I could do to repair that leak, that I have, and then keep being strong and keep pushing through. Because like, seriously, as coming from someone who's gone through a lot of adversity, I have a million reasons to walk this earth and be broken, and but then again, I also have a million reasons to live a life that I deserve.
Thank you for saying that. I think a lot of people, and I've definitely been in that situation where you can like feel it's too much negativity, and I don't know, my friends call me a reckless optimist, but I'm with you. Like there are a million reasons that I could be sad and do nothing, and that doesn't invalidate like my hardships, but also it's like, okay, I'm going to take this and make the best life for me as like much as I can.
Exactly. Like it. This is
Yeah,
it.
truly. I I'm so excited to like follow your journey and see what you do and what you have done. Thank you for being on the Make It series today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. You guys are all awesome at Real Industry.
Thank you.